Go. Just give it like 30 seconds to go onto Facebook and we'll be ready to go.
Okay, do we not have the chiefs there?
I saw the police, I saw the fire chief.
Chief Sanders is here.
Yeah?
Okay.
Okay. Looks like we should be up and going.
Okay. I don't know.
Chief Farron is on. Oh.
Are Chief Sanders and Chief Farron there?
Chief Sanders is here. Chief Farron is online.
Oh, online?
Yeah.
I don't see him.
You get his name.
I'm here.
There he is.
Oh, there he is. All right. Hi, Chief.
Hi.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and call this order to meeting. Yes, Sam? Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, so I'll call the meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the
To the flag of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Mayor's comments. I want to congratulate all of the new elected officials and welcome them to their positions at the City of Coquille. I also want to let everyone know that we will be hanging, Rotary will be hanging the Christmas lights throughout the town this coming Saturday. We're always looking for volunteers, so if anybody has any time to spare, we would appreciate it. We're meeting here at River Cities Realty and the new Chamber of Commerce offices, 55 East First Street at 9 a.m. We will be providing donuts and coffee in the morning. Thank you, anybody who would like to help. Moving on to council comments. Councilor Chappelle.
I don't have anything right now.
Councilor Niswonger.
Thing I have is I would like to see in the back parking lot some lights put in the light poles. It is really dark up there and I don't like walking in the back all by myself.
I hear that. Anything else? But Sam, any comment on that? Can we take care of that, or are they working?
Mike, can you take care of that? Can you look at that tomorrow?
I'll be on.
Okay,
I'm on it.
taken care of.
Thank you. Other than that, no comment.
Okay. All right. Councilor Pinkston.
In regards to the Fifth Street sign, looks very nice.
Oh, it does. Really does.
Regards to Friends to the Library, we're in the process now of bringing books in and setting shelves up. If anybody wants to help us out with that, we'd appreciate it. It's going to be quite a little undertaking. We probably got about 10,000 more books to put in there. So, in regards, get in touch. Do the library, call me. I'm in the phone book. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Parker.
I just wanted to say how wonderful it was to see everyone go out and vote, and we got such a great response for all of our offices that we had up for election. It'd be a fun year to start with 2021 and be rid of 2020.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. Amen, right?
Hallelujah. Okay, and Councilor Wirebaugh, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. Congratulations to all of our new candidates that were hired into council and our new mayor. I'm happy for you all to get your positions, and everybody, I wish to have a happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Did I skip anyone? Okay.
No, Councilor Rao is actually out tonight, so he's not
Okay.
with us.
All right, well, thank you. We will move on then to staff reports. And let's start with Chief Sanders.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You have my report. Just wanted to touch on the drug take back was a huge success. That's in my report. And then the reserves, our reserve officers were out for Halloween with the Eagles. But they didn't get to do it at their facility like we've always done in the past, but they did a drive-through type of Halloween thing for kids at the high school, which was a good success. So our reserve officers were out for that. Appreciate that. And then lastly, I have a press release here that'll come out in the paper this week. I passed it around to the members that are here. But we got a nice photo of the car being donated to Derwin Boggs that you guys agreed to do last month. And so that'll come out in the paper this week. Any questions?
Well, I think we're okay. No one has any questions for Chief Sanders?
Oh, Chief, I would like to thank Sergeant Miller and the Academy for bringing down the Milo system.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, appreciate that, Dave. Hopefully everyone that wanted to do that got to do it. I didn't get to do mine until just right before we tore it down before this evening. Officer Rankinson as well, but Sergeant Miller was here all weekend. He got a lot of people through it. And then last week, a lot of people got the training. So yeah, we appreciate that. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you very much, Chief.
Mayor,
Yes.
I would just like to thank the chief and his staff for their quick response to our request to address the parking on both sides of the streets there on Main Street. You guys did a great job, and it looks like we've resolved our issues, and I thank you.
Yes, I drove by there yesterday evening, and all the cars were off of the street. So good job. Good job.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, how about Director Connor?
Yo. You have my report, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay. Questions, anybody? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to Chief Farron.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have nothing to add to my report, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions, anyone?
Yeah, I have questions on your extrication equipment. These are your
Okay.
jaws of life, correct?
Correct.
So, and I know our cars get stronger, our machines will take longer. So can you expand on more on this paragraph? Like you have tons of charts here and
Okay, so basically what I'm showing you guys is that currently our cutting capacity for our newest set of jaws is 156,236 for a max cutting force, where a 2017 car average tensile strength is 200,000 to 260,000. So with any newer cars, we're not going to be able to cut that. That's basically what I was trying to show with a little more diagram and everything. The other local fire department cutting capabilities just kind of shows what each department along the coast has.
Okay.
and ours is showing, I can't really read your writing on this one. Is that 2.5?
That's 25. So 25,000, that's our old set of jaws that we just took off the rescue about a year ago and moved the ones from the engine onto the rescue. And we basically just deadlined the 25,000. They weren't even capable of cutting a 1995 car.
Right. So what is the cost of bringing that to current?
It's about a year ago, it was at $37,000.
Okay. So we're roughly looking at around 40 to 45,000 this
Correct.
year. Okay. And currently you guys have other methods that are possibly a little unorthodox to get people out of the car without the jaws of life, I'm assuming?
So if it's a car that we're not capable of cutting, what we're gonna do is we're gonna call for mutual aid. If we're on south side of town or east side of town, we're gonna call Myrtle Point. If we're on the west side of town, we'll call for Green Acres if we're incapable of getting the patient out of the car.
And what's the response time for them to get to you usually?
It just kind of depends, usually about 10 to 15 minutes, sometimes a little bit longer. So
It's all great information to have. Also, it says here you guys are having a hard time with your SCBAs and the hearing.
So the SCBAs are great. The communications with them is not so great. When we bought the units, we were told that they didn't require the voice amplification features. And since fighting a couple of fires with these new SCBAs, we found that voice amplification is definitely required. We had 4 people inside on the West First Street fire we had, and we were not able to have any communications between myself and the interior crews.
And that's just failure to hear them at the volume because of how they're.
Because the mask is muffled, it's not able to put out the sound quality that's needed to transmit over the radio.
And have you tested any of these amplifications to see if this is going to be the solution? Can they send like a tester to?
Yes. So the voice amplification that I have listed for the agenda item is actually the one that Myrtle Point uses, and it works quite well.
Yeah, because when you guys are in those fires, you're pretty much blinded too, correct? When you're fighting inside those?
Yeah, we can't see hardly anything. It depends on the fire. I mean, if it's a big working structure fire, it's basically blackout. So we definitely need to have voice communications, physical contact if we can. Sometimes we need to spread out just a little bit. So having that voice communications is definitely beneficial and necessary.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thank you for bringing this information to us, Chief. It looks like your department is in desperate need for a lot of things to keep our public safe. So, we'll be talking about the voice application tonight.
Okay.
Okay, so now we'll move on to Community Development Department. Director Sharp, I forget what your last name is, I'm sorry.
Actually, Haley's in community development.
Oh, all right, I did that last month too. But while we're on it, Shar, what is your last name again?
Harvey.
What is it?
Harvey?
Harvey, got it. Sorry about that. Okay, so Haley, do you want to bring us up to date on your report?
Sure. You have my written report, so if you have any questions, let me know.
Director Haley, at last meeting, we talked about, you sent some information regarding the vegetation on or in the gutters and the curbs would be taken care of in sort of a piecemeal response to where the deeds were. Have you started that project? Have you worked on Central yet?
Sorry, are we talking about vegetation in the cracks on the sidewalks and streets?
That's correct. It's growing in the gutters and the curbs.
We are working on that. We've had our street sweeper, which I described as a really bad vacuum cleaner, out and about a few days each week. And so you'll see some noticeable improvement along our main roads. And I had included in my last report that our long-term goal is to buy a new street sweeper.
I'm mainly concerned about our crop of Queen Anne's lace that grows up Central Street here, especially across from City Hall. That looks pretty tacky, I think.
Have you seen it in the last few weeks?
No, I have not been out of town with it.
We've been sweeping Central, so Central looks quite a bit better. Right towards the end of Jeff Thurman's been out there sweeping with the street sweeper. He had gotten most of Central, and then we had our big storm, so he was back out there this morning trying to clean up after the storm.
All right, I just don't want to see it clump the spring again, that's all. I mean.
Yes, and there's another local
not-
group that's helping us. Tina Hallmark from the library has had a volunteer crew that's been out taking them up by hand as well.
Thank you.
Director, is there any possible way that we could actually do some brush mitigation at Servant Park towards the back, going, parallel the tracks? And if we can, how far back can we go without encroaching on wetland issues?
On the train tracks?
Yeah, that and where the park is to go all the way back.
Well, that's sort of a longer discussion. At first blush, I would say we've got some brush issues elsewhere in the city that probably need to be looked at first. I will say though that whole area back there has been overgrown in recent years and has a big beaver infestation problem, which has been adding to what the vegetation buildup you see in the culverts down there. And yesterday was the first day of beaver trapping season, and we have hired a beaver trapper, and he trapped several beaver today, which are blocking up those culverts that lead all the way up to almost McKay's, and causes a lot of that buildup. So 2 answers to 1 question, I suppose.
Is he going to set any traps off of 4th Street?
Set several.
Oh, okay, because that gentleman that keeps coming in, I love him dearly. He's so nice, but he can't
David
get down.
Romanowski.
Yeah, with the prosthetics that he has, it makes it hard for him to get down there and tackle that.
He has a
job.
helper. He has a helper now.
Oh,
And they
okay,
were
good.
both here today, and I got a look at one of them. It was the first dead beaver, I guess. That's another way of saying it I've ever seen in my life. And those things are much bigger than you would think.
They're huge, yeah.
Very big and big teeth, like actually really big teeth. Yeah.
Wow. Hey, well, thank you and keep up the good work. Okay, moving on now to Director Harvey.
For the staff report, I think that part's pretty simple. Is that the only part we're covering right now?
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone have questions for the staff report section?
Yes, I have a question, please.
Okay.
Have we gotten the PERS straightened out yet with the payroll?
Yeah, Sam worked with the PERS office to get that fixed. He was already working on it. He's taking care of it, and we saw payment go through the account where they've reconciled their side of it. Now we just have a couple lingering out there that are mostly people that are employed part-time in 2 different locations. So the PERS is still working on getting them fixed in there.
Okay, because I recall that last year when the W-2s were sent out, there were some problems with the payroll and the PERS, and we got all of that straightened out. Yes, for 2019?
I can't answer to that. I'm doing an audit on payroll now to prepare the 1920 audit. That's what I'm working on.
Okay, but what about those people that had a problem with their payroll? Were they able to file their income tax returns, or?
Yeah, the prior year was fixed. So I'm looking at 1920 now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Would it be possible to get a printout of that,
Of what?
of the PERS, to see basically it's printed out a sheet from the state, basically saying that all the PERS have been taken care of?
You just want a statement from them?
I would like to see it, yes, because all we've heard in the past is PERS is taken care of, PERS is taken care of.
I have this one right here, actually printed off. If you, I can get everybody a copy of it. This is from last November, October up till 10/31, which has been added. Resident suspended loan because of, well, Judy, because she's retired for employee and part-time here. It's from their system, so she didn't suspend loan. Everybody else. I just blame you.
Okay, so Sam, if an employee calls PERS and asks for a printout of their 2019, they can get a copy of it now?
Yes, they should be able to.
I don't understand when you mean they're in suspended mode. What do you, just what?
So if all of if any one of those are not fully completed, it puts the entire batch into suspended mode. However, they have processed everybody but one individual on every single one of those. And it's the problem is with the PERS system itself, not with us. If that makes sense.
And this goes back as far as she's been working for us?
No, they actually started a new program in October of last year, dealing specifically with retired PERS employees that then get a part-time job that then qualify them again for PERS. And they're in a different category, and that category hangs it up every single time we run that report.
But this is an updated report.
That is, I printed that off as of today.
As of today.
Yeah. The one that says right there at the bottom that says added,
Yeah.
that's still in the process of processing.
So if somebody was to retire, they would have no problem applying for the PERS.
No, they should not.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I spent some time on the phone specifically with our PERS rep last week, seeing if we can take care of that suspended mode. Because they kept promising us that it would be done in October. And so I said, hey, October's done. Is this done? And they're like, it's probably December. So
all this suspended status is going to be taken care of by
whenever they get that system. It was supposed to be October. Now it looks like sometime in December. But it will be done by the end of the year is what they've promised so far.
As far as our audit goes, when would we expect a report from the auditor?
We had our meeting to review the financials Friday, and so they guaranteed to have it to us by December, for the December meeting to present.
So really, technically, it's not done until we actually get that audit from them.
Yes, you have to be able to accept it before we can consider it's closed.
So really, it's not closed yet.
Right, it's not closed yet.
That's all we're on. That's all we're on.
Okay, thank you, Counselor.
And I can get you each a copy of that page if you want.
That'd be great.
Yes, please.
Yes.
I can't release anything that has personal information, but
that.
yeah.
This is really what I would like to have.
Okay.
This right here.
Okay, so I have a question.
And I would, excuse me, did you have something, Kathy, Mayor?
Oh, I was just gonna ask Sam a question, and probably for our attorney, because you keep saying that you cannot show anything that has personal information, but you can show us the gross salaries, just not the net. Is that correct?
Not in the PERS system, I can't, but in the
in the accounts. I'm sorry, in the forgot the word I'm looking for. In the check register.
Yes. There was actually a mistake last month. We are able to hand out the check register.
Yes.
So yes.
But just
not. And you should actually there was a supplemental email I sent Friday afternoon that has the check register in it.
Right.
It's the AP version of the check register, but yes.
But you
so that is available.
Payroll.
I'm sorry, what's that?
But you took out the payroll.
No, payroll is actually in that one.
Okay.
I did the AP version for this month's financials because of what happened last month.
We can't see their net because it has personal data on their net take-home pay.
Yes, that's correct.
But their gross salary is public record.
Correct.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
But we can't see their net because that is privileged information. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct. That's the way I understood it too. But in the past, they've been withholding the wages entirely.
You mean even the gross?
Yes.
So legally, public employees' wages need to be published once a year. That'll be happening now that I'm here.
It's it actually has been published in the budget. Because when we do the budget, we know what every employee's salary is going to be, their gross salary. So it's
Right.
always been in the budget.
Yes,
Ever since I've been on the budget committee, it's always been in the budget.
yes. That's correct.
That's their gross salary.
Yes,
Like whatever the gross salary is for a step one police officer or a public works person, their gross salary has always been in the budget.
have we made any adjustments to the STEP program? Have you guys been working on that? Sam?
What do you mean adjustments? We did a wage comparison.
Uh-huh. That was required by law, right?
that
We
that
had
one
to do
is
that?
correct. And
And
most of those were still well within the margins.
Time frame, okay, or
Yeah.
the frame, yeah.
And so,
Okay. So
I
we
mean,
were-
when we get ready to do our budget for next year, that will be one of the things we discuss and talk about is the wage set. Who's outside of those normal bounds as far as
Okay.
other cities.
Okay, I just wanted to know if the old, scale that we had was still in effect or if we made changes to it.
Oh, I mean, we make changes, but it's to progress it forward. And so
Right.
I have a budget. I mean, I have a pay scale specifically for the 2021 budget year. And then we have another one set up for the 21-22 already.
Okay, perfect.
But we
Good
can
job.
make changes to it as we go along and get ready.
Okay.
I have a quick question
Go ahead.
regarding the PERS here. So the report date, I'm going to assume is the payroll date,
Correct.
okay? Date submitted is when the PERS was actually submitted.
Correct.
Holy moly, there's some not good stuff on here.
Correct.
You notice that? I would like to see, I would like to see a constant update on this.
You can do that.
Because all we've heard in the past is it's taken care of, it's taken care of, it's taken care of. Never saw any paperwork. And because when I took a look, I noticed what you were looking at. We need to stay on top of that.
Okay, do we have any other questions? I'm sorry. Julie, were you going to say something? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. Are you done?
I'm done.
Counselor? Okay, okay, so, all right, moving on then to Mr. Baugh's report.
Okay, you should have your my report in front of you. If you have any questions, please let me know.
So I still have a question about Pacific Realty, Pacific Properties.
Yeah,
So they did get their license for here in Coquille, is that correct?
I have not actually followed up on that, but when I contacted the state real estate office, they said it was in pending mode and they had paid the fee on that.
Okay, and so now he still needs to register with the Secretary of State for doing business in Coquille.
That's what that was, wasn't
Nope,
it?
that's the real estate one. He still has to file a fictitious name filing with the state of Oregon. It's $50 for every 2 years, $50 for 2 years. He has not filed for that one.
Okay, I guess I'll have to look into that one, but I thought that's,
No.
so there's two different agencies is what you're now saying is I have to look at the real estate and
For the one for the real estate. Now, any business that does business in the state of Oregon needs to register with the state of Oregon, their fictitious name filing. He has done it for the other cities, but he has not done it for Coquille. So if you go to Secretary of State and you look up the business registry, He has not filed his business with the the State Department. He's okay with the Board of Realties. We got that straightened out last month. But he needs to file one for the city of Coquille. That he's doing business as Pacific Properties in the city of Coquille. Counselors, are you following me on that one? Julie, you have it. I think Dave Chappelle, you have it, right? I have it. So would you check?
Kathy,
I'm-
Mayor, so what you're saying is the fact that they're
I'm
filed.
sorry, Dave, I can't hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. So what you're saying is he's filed as far as a realtor goes.
Yes, he filed with the Board of Realties. He's legal there. But he did not do his fictitious name statement with the state of Oregon.
And what you're saying is he hasn't filed with the Secretary of State's office.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is for his license, it's $50 for 2
Right.
years.
Right.
I just think that if we're doing business, and he's going to be a Coquille business, he needs to have all of his I's dotted and his T's crossed. For the protection of the city. Kyle, you have it too, right? I mean, we all file it as business owners.
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised that that's missing. Like, it should have been picked up. I'm really
Yeah.
surprised. No.
It's no problem. It's just that, you know, he should do it. I mean, if the city's doing business with people, we should follow all the rules. I have
Yeah,
nothing else.
I'll look into that one.
Okay, thank you, Sam. I have nothing else. If anyone else has anything.
Yeah, so you guys, Sam, you contacted RCAC and you're talking about the wastewater rate study. Were you able to meet with them on the 13th?
They had to cancel the one on the 13th. We're actually going to reschedule for the 19th this week.
Okay, great. I was wondering if there's any more information on that.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, there was scheduling conflict and we are rescheduled for the 19th, afternoon of the 19th. So Thursday, I believe.
Great, thank you.
Sam, weren't we supposed to have another discussion with people from Springbrook? Did we discuss that in our workshop? That we wanted to hear more from Springbrook?
I had sent Sam some questions and they emailed them back to me and addressed my concerns. And as far as I knew, we weren't able to answer those questions and they were going to have them come back.
Okay.
Kind of how I
And we have a discussion this later. Action item number 10 is going to be discussing that as well.
Okay. All right. Fine.
If I may interject, in regards to new council, old council, any council.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Hugh.
In regards to the council, the new council, the old council, the ongoing council, I would recommend the city of Coquille do a resource tour of Coquille before we take oaths and introduce new people to their responsibilities. I think maybe a little show and tell would be good for these people to see what the city is, has, could have, and then start casting visions. I would appreciate that.
So for those that are coming on, there is a newly elected officials meeting on December 2nd. Everybody should receive a link to that. Also on January 4th, I believe we're swearing everybody in, and that will be a work session which we're going to go over several items that they need to know it would be great as a work session. We're starting a new team. Let's do this. And then we're on the 15th, I believe, of January. Don't quote me on that date. We are doing what you're describing as a resource thing. If you want me to move it into December so it's before, I can look at doing that.
Mr. Ba, I'm sorry, I have a question for the attorney. Can we swear in a work session? Sam?
James, you're muted.
Sorry, there we go. I can't think of a reason why not.
Because I thought we couldn't make any decisions in a work session.
Well, you're not making any decision. There's no decision to be made there. The voters have made the decision.
Okay.
It's not, I mean, the council can't say, well, the council can't say, no, you're not going to be a counselor.
Right, I just wasn't sure if we could do it in a work session.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's a problem.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Okay, Mr. Ba?
Anything else? We're just on my report.
Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on then to the agenda items. Oh, wait, actually, I'm sorry. Consent calendar.
The minutes did not get finished from October, and those will be out shortly.
Okay, you'll just email them to us just to read?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Yes.
Or we can approve them next meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
I do want to add, because it made it into the packet, but it didn't make it onto the number on the list on the outside. Sorry, the papers we hung up for the public. Number 12 should actually be SCBA voice amplification instead of the reading of the canvass of votes.
So number 12 is what?
Number 12 should be SCBA voice amplification. That's it made it into the packet, just didn't make it onto the agenda.
Okay, so we're taking off reading of the official canvass of votes?
Correct. Those were actually not ready when I called the county
County's
today.
office?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So number 12 will be SCBA voice
Amplification.
It takes me a minute. I have to print everything. Okay. All right, so then moving on to agenda number 8, action on city manager's contract renewal and changes. We met in executive session. We will be sending out a evaluation to the directors and to the counselors like we have done in the past, and you'll grade it on a scale from 1 to 5. The council president, Julie Niswonger, and myself will tally up the scores, and then next month in our December meeting, we'll have an executive session where we evaluate Sam. Okay, so there'll be no action taken on that at this time. Agenda number 9. Resolution to add an extension of city water service outside of the city's urban growth boundary to serve as existing rural residential area on the eastern side of Highway 42 between approximately Hart Lane and Hawthorne Road, connecting to an existing city water main which runs parallel to subject property on the western side of Highway 42. Director Haley Shelton, would you comment on that?
Hi.
Hi.
Have you all had a chance to read the staff report and findings of fact? If so, I will add here that our code is very old and it requires city council approval to extend this water line. We have consulted with the county and with ODOT. And if you look through the findings of fact, what it does is it takes our municipal code and it includes a narrative as to how the applicant meets each section of that municipal code. So what this water line extension do is it would extend water across from Coquille Supply up HART Lane. I think that the applicant might be on the phone. If they'd like to say anything, then I'll give them this opportunity. But if you have any questions about the specifics, why this needs to come before council, who we need to notice, go ahead.
So Haley, they didn't ever call in. I don't have them on my participants list.
That's okay. I told them they don't really need to at this point. They've requested this, and so it's sort of my role to bring it to the council.
And they pay for all the expenses.
Yes, they pay for the extension of the line, and then they dedicate the line back to the city. So the main is our responsibility. The laterals are their responsibility, or the service lines rather, are their responsibility, and that is the way that it goes with our entire water system. It's a good deal for us, and it brings water to them.
And Haley, who is going to be doing all of the installation? Is it our city, or do we contract this out?
The applicant. The applicant does the work. Before they're able to do the work, they have to submit engineered plans to both the city, which Dyer Partnership reviews, and the Oregon Health Authority, which the Oregon Health Authority reviews for the extension. And those engineers look at the other engineers' work and say, that looks good to us, or you need to change it to meet this particular standard. And they can't actually install the line until they get the go-ahead from those agencies.
Gotcha. Thank you. Any questions, counselors? Okay, we'll move to take a vote. Do I hear a motion?
I'll move to accept resolution number 12-2020.
Do I have a second?
I said,
That was you, Dave?
sure, I second it.
Okay. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. Okay, agenda number 10, resolution 13-2020. Charlie Harvey, you want to discuss this with us?
Yes, I'd like to draw your attention to the final page of my recommendation. There's a number on there that's actually a typo. Page 5, under utility billing and cash receipting, that number should be 14,000. The 5 doesn't belong in there. And then other than that, I tried to spell everything out in the recommendation. The reason the numbers in here are soft numbers for Springbrook is because they didn't scope the project. They won't provide a firm quote for us until they know if we're selecting them. Whereas the other team gave us a not to exceed bid. So other than that, I just thought I would open myself up to questions anyone might have.
Sure, Sherilyn. This
Yes.
is Councilor Wirebaugh. I have a couple questions with OpenGov. Does OpenGov have integrated accounting as well as reporting to the public?
They have full service ERP.
Okay, and also, do they have processing that reads our water meters and sewer meters and processing of payroll and any HR issues?
Yes, and it's all included in the subscription rate and the deployment bid for us.
Okay.
They gave us a contract that details the scope of work and how deployment would be considered, and they gave us an order form that they signed a contract that would, they offered a contract that would guarantee those rates to us for 5 years. They will not exceed the annual subscription rate increase or the cost of anything else for us.
Okay.
Okay.
Was there, minus Springbrook and OpenGov, and my only really complaint with these two is the expenses of both these softwares. Any of the software is going to be expensive. I know there's a couple others that we never really looked on. We kind of briefly talked about Castle, and I know another one that really hit it off well beforehand was Tyler Technologies Incorporated. Have you looked into any of those other two entities as well?
Not for this city. I did for other communities. Tyler is a little bit top end, so it's higher priced. They're making some changes in their systems, but it's something that you see in larger communities because of the price. If you guys are interested in getting those, I can. We would lose any contract prices that were being offered right now from the other vendors because they're all timed. We'd have to renegotiate any of that. But I have used Coquille before, and I've gotten bids from them, and I didn't include them. I didn't reach out to them for this one. They were presented in spring when you guys had that session before I was here.
Right, because last time OpenGov presented to us, they seemed really like that they were just more for dedicating information to the public and not so much as integrating that information unless we had accurate financials to put into that system for public display to the community. It was one of those efforts. And
that might be my fault. I asked them to explain that there's so much that their software offers. That's what they put in the package for us to explain all of it. I asked them for their presentation to focus on community engagement, transparency, and what that would do for our relationship with council and the community. So I think that they stepped away from giving too much detail about the processes inside. But they are in writing in the document, and I did put testimonies from other communities in there.
Well, last year when they presented to us, it was as that overarching public-facing software. In January of this year, they actually purchased their ERP system, and that's what we're looking at now is their ERP system that has that fully already integrated.
well, that's good to know too. It's a fully integrated system for that steep of a price tag.
Yeah, so for example, your question about payroll. When payroll's processed in there, it automatically generates to accounts payable. So they're not separate functions for staff. We don't have to go in there and prepare payroll and then go back out and prepare all of the benefit payments. It's fluent between modules.
Right, and that was kind of leading into my next question is if you had to add extra software that would resulted in, doing the whole cost analysis between personnel and your software benefits, so.
And that was the other thing for selecting OpenGov. It's full encompassing. They don't patchwork other software systems into theirs to make it work. So we'd only be dealing with one vendor.
Councillor Neiswanger, what were the questions that you reached out to Springbrook with?
Oh, do you have any emails?
Kevin, did you have any further emails?
I don't have
The emails
emails.
The emails from Springbrook that we requested.
I emailed Sam, and then Sam and Char worked together to answer those.
Well, and it's not a huge deal because I've gotten pretty negative reviews about other companies or entities working with Springbrook and having a hard time with them. I was just curious to what those would be, what your questions were.
These softwares, each of the companies, they're about moderately priced. They're not low end or top end. Either way, I tried to go the middle road with them.
Well, and I don't expect it to be low end either, especially for as much as City of Coquille has had of them financially to get
right
out. And that's why I was just curious about Castle and Tyler Technologies as well. Just to kind of, if we're going to do this big of an investment, why not look at these two other agencies just in case that, there might be something there that we're missing that they might.
I have looked into Coquille before. I didn't look into Tyler before because of the its top end pricing. It is very popular. There's a lot of cities and communities, a lot of municipal governments that use it across Oregon. Cassell has a lot of limitations. I've used it before. And
Well, and I know Coos Bay works with Cassell. So, and when you say top end for Tyler Technology, I know, what do you mean by top end?
If you look at the price ranges for it and what it can do, it's a higher end software. So it's mostly larger communities that use it unless they use a restricted module version of it. And they do have other versions of it available, but I have not looked into that for the city of Coquille.
I would love to see some more information on this before we proceed, but that's just my personal.
I'm sorry, say that again, Counselor.
I said I would love to see some more information about the Tyler and Castle a little bit more before I commit to this price, but that's just me. That's my opinion.
I have to agree with Councilor Wirebaugh. We need to really take a look at this because this is a lot of money. And if we're gonna, whatever system we get, whatever system we buy, and whatever system, I mean, obviously the taxpayers are gonna be paying for it, we're gonna be stuck with it for a while. Okay, we're not gonna be making any changes, and it should be something that we're gonna be having to live with for a while. And this is a lot of money. So I think that I agree with Councilor Wirebaugh that we need to check in with Tyler and Cassell.
We had Cassell in the spring, but I don't think that you've had Tyler yet.
Yeah,
So what would you guys like to see?
I
Keeping in
personally,
mind both of these bids will expire.
I understand that,
Okay.
but. you know,
I would like to see Tyler.
There's one thing about bids, you can always redo them.
Right.
You know, I mean, for a company to say, well, your bid's gonna expire in 30 days. Well, okay, fine.
The only reason I mentioned that is because the one that I recommended, we had explained that the 150 that was not to exceed was a concern. They lowered that subscription rate for us for the first year by 54% to try to accommodate that. And so I'm just saying that we can always go back, but when we go back, we'll have to start with fresh bids to both companies.
I would like to see something from Tyler and Cassell.
Right.
I really would.
Well, and with their first initial cost too, Cheryl-Lynn, with that 130,000 for a setup, I'm sure they have plenty of wiggle room to have us as a client to offer that incentive again with OpenGov.
Right, and remember that was their not to exceed on that as well, but we can easily go back and get more. Is there any other software companies that you wanted me to look at?
Those are, I just want to see those two other ones kind of mocked in with these and what they offer. Maybe some
Yeah,
information.
see if they
from
can
the
give us a
representative.
comparison.
Exactly, yeah.
What was it? I can't hear him.
Give us a comparison.
Like
Right.
just for the other,
Yeah, that's what the mayor said.
for all four?
Yes, ask them to give us a comparison. I mean, 3 quotes. I mean, we've been looking at this I've been mayor for 4 years. And I believe, Dave, when you were on council before, you looked at this.
Exactly.
It's a big investment for a town our size. One of my concerns is, they lower the price and they lock in everything. What happens at the end of 5 years? They're in business to make money. And once they've got us as an account, they pretty much have us. So I think, a few more months looking into it, getting some comparative quotes isn't asking for a lot.
Exactly.
For $400,000.
Yeah, and you gotta understand too, I mean, I was born and raised in Ashland. I came from Ashland, and I know what Ashland is right now. Ashland is a very large community. We're talking roughly around 15, 16,000 people. And they have all kinds of stuff going on in Ashland. Nowhere, I mean, it's apples and oranges with Coquille. And that is a big hunk of software, and that probably fits Ashland quite well. But does it really honestly fit Coquille? I really don't think it does. And it's a hefty chunk of money. And I have to agree with the mayor too. They lock you into a 5-year contract, and then by the time all your historical knowledge winds up going out the door, then after that 5 years, then up goes the price. And that's normally what happens. And we need to really research this before we take that leap. for that kind of money, we need to really take a look. And we've been going on like this for a long time, you know, a few more months isn't gonna hurt anything.
Right. And
I can sit-
I'm sorry, Charlene, this doesn't include new equipment, right, for the city, like new monitors or hard drives or controls? What is equipment included in this?
No, this is a software that has nothing to do with any equipment or anything that we would need for the city.
So do we?
They're all cloud-based, so we actually can, I mean, we've already upgraded our,
We've already upgraded our servers, if I recall.
yeah, we've already upgraded our servers, and so that was going to be the hindrance of going with the cloud-based.
And most of this stuff, Mayor, is all gonna be cloud-based.
Mhm.
And in fact, if I even think Springbrook is even going to be the cloud-based system.
Did you guys have an opportunity to look at the statements from the other communities that I put in the packets for you?
Oh, yeah.
And so there's a lot of small communities that use the full service.
I understand.
So I just wanted to be sure because you had mentioned Ashland. And so they accommodate any size.
I know.
So I just got a text from Andrew from OpenGov. He says Ashland uses Tyler Munis. Yeah.
That's
So-
the one that Kyle's asking about.
Yeah.
So Ashland uses both? OpenGov and Tyler?
I think, Andrew, if you're still listening, but I believe that they use the budgeting. That's what you're seeing to the public from OpenGov. And they have a different ERP system because originally OpenGov only offered budgeting. They just moved into a full service accounting system this last year.
That's not the impression. My impression was that Ashland used OpenGov, period, in the story.
Oh, no, they have I'm not positive what they use in the background based on the comment from the gentleman that's listening. They have I think he's clarifying.
So, yeah, Andrew said, yes, they integrate with Tyler to do that.
Okay, so then the version of OpenGov that Ashland uses,
Is the public facing.
it doesn't,
Yeah.
so they actually have to integrate with something else in order to make it work.
No, they chose to because they got OpenGov before it was a full service.
Well, I guess my question would be then why hasn't Ashland gone to OpenGov's full version?
That was going to be my question. I think maybe
No,
we
I mean,
should call.
if they rolled out a new version, why haven't they gone to OpenGov and phased out of Tyler?
And then Andrew also just stated that they use the budgeting and reporting tool. So,
There's just a lot of questions. It just seems to be real foggy to me, and I just think we need to really look at this really tightly because of the fact that there is a lot of money, and we've been dealing with this issue for a long time, even when I was very first on the council. And like I said, a few more months isn't going to hurt matters.
It does affect the office. So
Well, I understand that, but my question is, let's learn how to do what we have currently right now.
So,
hold on, Director Shelton, you had a question.
I don't have a question, I have a comment. So whenever that's the time.
Oh, you can make a comment. Go ahead. Is it pertaining to this?
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
I don't speak for the other department heads. They're here now. My department is hurting and has been hurting since I first arrived with the lack of finance department support that comes directly from the software, the amount of time and energy we spend trying to make the system or lack thereof work is time that we could be spending doing other things. And we're losing opportunities. We can't answer basic questions for granting agencies that every other city can answer. They're asked, I don't really, I've heard what Chair has had to say about the software and Sam has had to say about the software. I'm not a software expert, but I will say we needed a solution months ago. We need a solution now. And I hear that we can wait a few more months. We've been working on this for 4 years, but this is a huge chink in our armor. It hampers every department. It hurts me every day. I need this financial direction now.
What can we access right now that other municipalities or people are asking for?
I'd like to provide an example for you, and I understand that you have concerns, especially with me being new, making a recommendation.
No, that's not it. My whole issue is the money. This is expensive.
And I can respect that, I understand that. My concern is my office is crippled with the current condition of the financial software that we're using. And it's taking 35 hours just to do work that should take 10 hours. And then we have to go back and do data entry because the system isn't integrated. In the previous administration, I can see 4 generations of finance directors and city managers that have created their own tools to work outside the system to be able to make up for the inadequacies of the version of the software that they're running. Since I've been here, I've been trying to get help from them just to help me be able to clean up what has happened in there. We have a $15,000 bid for them to help us with payroll, and they can't move it beyond that. We either have to buy their version and go into the new one that's on this paper, or we have to continue to process in a software we're paying extra for outside of the system, and then manually come back and enter that data into Springbrook. So what I'm sharing with you is just trying to let you know it is a handicap to try to do what's going on in this office. There's a reason why the financials are in this shape. The software has been neglected for years and years. If I may, this isn't in your packet, but this is just one statement from Springbrook themselves that says that after assessing the condition of your current bank reconciliation, it is clear that you will not be able to, all I wanted them to do is help me able to do a bank reconciliation. They're set up here in a very old way that I'm not accustomed to. So I asked them to do a training session. How do I get this to work? And they said, you will not be able to perform a bank reconciliation batch that would produce an auditable report until the services has been worked completely. And if we are to try to help, and if we were to try to help you, we would have to start from the very beginning and move forward. From the very beginning, I mean that we need to go back to 2004 by month until it's completely caught up, because the system is off. And they have been doing workarounds to get this to work in your office for years. And right now, CPAs came in to help you guys clean it up last year, and they had to do it in paper because they couldn't get it to work right in this financial software. So there are many functions that just keep going through as normal. But what happens is if you generate a payroll, we should be able to do a payroll for this size of an agency in about 10 hours. That's all it should take you. It's right now taking us 35 hours plus the AP processes, plus the reconciliation of the data to our GLs, our bank accounts. They're off for the 1920 year because of the way that it was being processed before I came. And in order to be able to reconcile bank statements and payroll with our GL, to be able to do our 1920 audit. So the reason I was expressing concern for your decision was I needed to make sure that you understand the position that this office is in. The 1819, I've got that taken care of. We're planning on presenting that in December, which means we can get some of the things that have been negatively impacted. Our revenues have been penalized by 10%, and we have lost some of our insurance coverage. So now to move into the 1920, to start now with the mess that I have to clean up, it will not be done timely. There's a significant amount of work that needs to be done and multiple errors that I've already found in there. And I have a similar statement. In order for Springbrook to help us clean that up, they have to do background tickets. And they want $15,000 to clean up payroll. And they're working on a bid for us for the bank reconciliations. So while I totally respect that this is a lot of money, the money that we're going to pay for all of these places to help us clean up what's there and be able to work daily and keep up with our responsibilities daily is all being impaired by the condition of the current financials.
So my question to you would be this, if our financials, like you say, using Springbrook are less than adequate, would that be proper to say that?
That is my opinion.
Okay, all right. If they're less than adequate in Springbrook, how would we transfer those same figures over into Open Gun?
because I have a workaround that I'm trying to get ready by reconciling the numbers and having those confirmed through an audit. And I've already had that discussion with them. So not just is their deployment cost at this high, but our chart of accounts is not compliant with an organization called Government Finance Officers Association. It's a federal
I'm
organization.
familiar with it, yes.
It's several years ago that they introduced a recommended chart of accounts because there are so many different versions out there that one of our responsibilities is to make sure that somebody that picks up financial statements from another agency can pick ours up and know that those two things are comparable. How you present data, excuse me, how you present data can influence the opinions of those receiving that information. So they said this stuff needs to be aligned. It has to have a common practice. Our current chart of accounts is a large thing to rework, and that is not, and it's not compliant. And that is one of the things that in my discussions with the software companies, OpenGov was willing to do it for the price that they have already offered us for deployment, no extra cost. And they know the condition of our financials and they're willing to work on that. The other company has bid additional charges for projects that will be considered extra cost outside of what's being presented to you there. I tried to include some of them. For example, you'll see on there the bid for the $15,000 for the payroll. I was not able to get them to give me one for the bank reconciliations. They're working on it still. And they're not able to help with chart of accounts or any of those other things. Their staff doesn't have the training. OpenGov is government employees that have finance staff, and they were willing to help us do all of this. And that's why their bid is so high.
Okay.
OpenGov also was going to be at least 9 to 12 months out, correct?
That's before completion. And so when they talk about it, they don't just run in and set you up. They're talking about, they do one module, they go, where's your weakest spot? They start there. They get us up and running through that, they test it, they train us, then they move to the next module. They don't just throw everything in on you. That's why they have such a long deployment schedule. There's no extra charges for that. They gave us a not to exceed bid. Springwork, if you please look at their proposal, the staff internally will be doing that cleanup and that work and reworking those chart of accounts on our own while keeping up our daily business practices. So I do understand. It looks like I'm being biased, but if you can sit in my chair and understand the workload and the cleanup and how long I'm trying to get these things organized while keeping pace with our current demands, there's a reason why I have recommended this company. And I don't see being able to continue to do business as we are unless we either contract for some outside help or call some new people in. But there's a lot of work that has to be cleaned up here.
I mean, we're looking right.
And the bids that are on there, if you notice, sorry, did I cut someone off?
No.
Okay,
I have a question when you get.
Sure. And go ahead, ask your question now.
So my question is, on page 4 of 5, item number 4, it specifically says that OpenGov includes a guaranteed not to exceed 5% per year through 2025. And that's way more than 5%. That's the first year, it doubles, more than doubles.
I'm not sure what you're looking at for that.
No,
I'm looking at page 4 of 5 on your paperwork that you gave us, item number 4, and where it says OpenGov for years 2021, the fee would be $20,880. And for year 21-22, the fee jumps to $44,500. But your statement paragraph says guaranteed not to exceed 5% per year.
Right, and thank you for pointing that out. That's the courtesy that they gave us the first year, because we have subscription contract with the other company. They took 54% off of our first year rate to try to help us with the deployment cost, to try to help balance that out. So it returns to the normal amount beginning the second year.
Well, see, I think as a counselor, this is my concern, is I continue to see documents come out of City Hall that say one thing, and when you look at the math, it doesn't match. And so I think that, at least for me personally, that's why I'm apprehensive to vote any of these items, because it doesn't say that anywhere in your paperwork. What I see is a document that you provided to me that says not more than 5% per year. And the very first number on there, when you do the math, is over 50%, or actually
So
100%.
Yeah, it was 5% at first. They sent us a revised quote and they reduced their professional services. And then they gave us a discount of 54%. I put that in the package of stuff that we said, but this is just what we would be paying. So I didn't include the 54% discount in this document. I just put the final price. But
I'm sorry.
Okay,
But that's the problem. You know it in your head, but you don't give us the supporting documents to look at.
But I
And
did
so we
in the
can-
package.
And let
I
me
did.
ask this, what happens if we wait another 30 days while we get some comparables?
Nothing, you just get a different bid, that's fine, we can do that. I was just trying to get the group to understand the impact that that has on my office and being able to present financials and help the department heads like we need to be.
Well, this is the thing. I'm looking at the sheet right here, and it says the implementation of OpenGov will cost the first year $150,000. And then there's an annual subscription rate of $44,000 with 5% locked in annually. And I agree with what Councilor Parker was saying. That's a lot of money.
It is.
That's a ton of money. And I mean, we're a population of roughly 3,000 people, not 15,000 like Ashland, not close to over 500,000 like Medford. Okay. We need 30 days isn't going to hurt anybody. To take a look at something else.
It's hard to justify it to the citizens when it's something that they don't get to see. Where if you had $45,000, we could have a new police car. Software is something that citizens don't see. And it's hard to justify saying we're gonna go spend that kind of money on something that they don't physically get to see.
I understand that. That's the money that was allocated before I got here.
Right.
I understand.
And that money that was allocated, that 150, also, we were told that it was going to include all new computers too for the office.
Right.
And all the departments. So that 100, it's a lot.
Well, just
No, I
because,
understand that it is, absolutely.
just because we allocate a dollar amount in our budget doesn't mean that we have to use that,
Doesn't
you
mean
know?
spend it. Right.
And
So-
I totally understand what you're saying also. I do understand that. And I also feel that if the city's finances were caught up, a lot of this wouldn't be probably so stressful either.
Yeah, there's just, the software doesn't work, so we're having to do it in paper. It's an unrealistic amount of work for an office this size to do what needs to be done in there alone.
So when did the city decide not to do their upgrades with spring break?
I have no idea, I cannot.
Why did they decide that?
That was actually, I think what you're getting at is the fact that, if I recall right, because the fact that when we originally had Springbrook, it wasn't obviously a cloud-based system, it was a software system. And it wouldn't surprise me, knowing computer software, that the subscription probably ran out, they didn't renew it, and therefore the updates. Companies don't just take away your software when you don't renew your subscription, they just don't do updates anymore.
Correct.
And that's exactly probably what happened.
We're on Springbrook version 7.15, and they're
So it's
on.
like any other software.
Right.
You go out there and you update your system, and now you're on a cloud-based system, and now you're not going to have to contend with software issues. If I honestly feel, my gut feeling is telling me that if we were to have maintained our subscription and kept this up, we probably wouldn't be in the situation that we're currently in right now. Okay, and that's what we have to look at. I know it's beautiful software. It looks good, it's nice and shiny, and it's all brand spanking new. But you know what? Again, I'm a businessman, and I go back to the fact that this is going to cost money. And these are tax-paying people out here that are going to have to flip the bill for this. Sorry, it's a lot.
But I would also like to say that they are new staff and it's not their.
It's not their fault. No, it's not their fault. I'm not blaming you for this.
Honestly, I looked at this like a business situation, as a business person for you. I looked at, that's a cost and benefit analysis is something I'm very used to doing.
Good.
I do understand it's a lot of money. I'm looking at the support and the cleanup and the work that we're getting from this company. It's mandatory, it's regulations, and then the end, that's the part that's the chunk. After we get past the deployment year, those softwares are right in line with each other. There's not much of a difference, and if you look at total cost, they're nose and nose. And it's gonna cost the city in the long run to go with the other company more than the one that I recommended. So I absolutely respect what you're saying. I understand your perspective, but I just want to make sure that you know, it appears that I don't want this to appear that I have taken this lightly. This is a large investigation, and I spent 6 months of software research with the last organization I was with before I ended up making a recommendation for them. And when I got here, I only had to take it from there and work with what was already given. We had 2 proposals from companies that I was already familiar with. I went to each company and asked, here's the situation we're in, what can your company do for us, and what can you do on an ongoing basis? So I really didn't look at that lightly. I looked at the one that in the bigger picture of things is going to be saving the city the most money.
Councillor Wirebaugh, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to add something. So in this meantime, if we go back to the drawing board and get these couple of quotes, I keep hearing reference to OpenGov helping us with our books and cleaning up all these things. Do we have personnel at our administration that can, in the meantime, start cleaning up some of these old errors in our billing or in any of all that to make it transition smoother going forward if we choose not to go with somebody that's going to clean up what we've done over the decade?
They're not going to do the cleanup for us. They're just willing to help with the chart of accounts and those kind of things. And yes, we do. It's just that it has to be done manually right now. And then it has to be done manually and then entered into the current version of the software. So it's the time issue. It's literally a huge workload.
Well, and when we go with the new software, you're going to have a whole new workload of learning this whole new system as well. So it's just kind of goes with the whole field of it.
Shar, tell me again, I'm sorry, I'm looking through all this paperwork. If we just upgraded with Springbrook, can we bring it up currently, less expensive?
They want more money than what is in the proposal that they provided. They did not even scope the work for the job because they call it projects that happen on the outside. So despite this, in addition to the cost for deployment, which the internal staff would be doing, they want a bid for bank reconciliation and cleanup. They want to be able to look at the rest of the system, and they want $15,000 to help fix what happened in payroll.
Okay, so I see that it's $15,000 for the payroll cleanup, $169 per hour, right, for personnel support. And
yeah, that's for ongoing support. So if somebody calls and needs help with anything, like right now, I've been doing it since I got here, they charge $169 an hour, whereas the other company, it's included in your subscription rate.
And how long is this quote good for from OpenGov?
30 days generally from the date it was offered. For both companies, what Springbrook and OpenGov did, it should be 30 days.
Well, we could ask them for an extension and by December meeting, have some comparable quotes and talk to some other people.
Yeah, so we can do a workshop in December and we can invite Cassell back and I can contact Tyler and we can do that.
How do you feel about that, Councillor Wirebaugh? Councillor Chappelle? Are you comfortable?
I would definitely like to see the other 2 companies give us a comparison. I would like to say one other thing. I'd like to say one other thing too. You were talking about the $160 an hour?
Yeah.
$9
an hour. And you're saying that in OpenGov, that's covered in the subscription.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're really, it's you either pay me now or you pay me later.
So the other
So-
thing is, and please look at the documents, all of these things that I'm saying, and even a statement from Springbrook that says that their system will not change. All they're going to do is move this into the cloud. I have that in your package for it. So a lot of the limitations, the fluency between modules, having to do payroll and then go back and do it in AP, those things aren't changing if we did go to the cloud in Springbrook. That's still going to require all that extra activity and staff pay time. That's the estimates on page 5. The difference between ongoing work in the system, that's the money that would be returned back to the city for the use of the other software because of the savings on it. So I tried to do that 5-year projection for you in there. And I do have those statements supported from the other company in the, I forgot what the original question was now. But the Springbrook part. Oh, it was $5,000. So you asked about additional fees. So it's full service for the one company, whereas Springbrook has these extra charges that are not included. We also do not have a guarantee on the price from them. It's just a proposal. They did not scope the work. But the training, so if you got me to come to work for you and you had Springbrook in the cloud, you then paid $5,000 for my training to learn how to use your software. In the other software, you can have up to 12 times a year. 12 times a year that staff could be trained, plus the ongoing health support, not just full staff training, is included. Both of those items are included. Besides the cost saving measures that are at the bottom of page 5 for you, those are additional savings when you look at the difference between these two softwares. That's irrelevant for looking at other softwares, and I can reach out to them for you for December. I'm just trying to point out that some of the information that I provided in there, I'm not sure that it was grasped for the savings and the cost differences between these two softwares. The impact to us financially and timelines.
I would like to see us take a look at some other software
Yes.
for comparison.
So counselors, oh, I'm sorry.
No,
My
go ahead.
recommendation would be then, I'm sorry, to table this until December. Go on, Kyle, I'm sorry.
Sherilyn, what, on these companies, did they recommend anything about our current servers that we have at City Hall?
None of the cloud systems have any impact to our servers.
So we won't have to upgrade our servers at all. That's not a hidden expense that we're gonna have to upgrade.
No, we don't have to upgrade it. It's ran off of the internet. You can log in from home. It gives us immediate access to being work from home whenever one of them is installed with either one of these two.
Thank you.
Same answer for both of these programs.
What type of security wall do they have?
They have a very encrypted system. In fact, in their proposal is, theirs is not a proposal. Their scope of work details all of that, and the questions about the deployment and why it takes 9 months and all the things that they will do with us during that time. It's in the package that I sent.
I would just like to take a look at some other software companies.
Okay.
So counselors, then I need a motion then to table this until December.
I make a motion that we table this until December to give us time to take a look at some other software companies.
Second.
Okay, discussion, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Hugh, you oppose, right?
No,
I'm sorry, were you for it or against it?
Yes. Aye.
Aye, okay, so motion passes then. So this will be tabled until December. We'll see something from our, some comparatibles at the workshop, is that correct?
Yes. If I can schedule, see if we can get them on the workshop for December. I'll call the companies.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Okay, moving on now to agenda number 11, approve the K-9 purchase. Mayor and council agreement to pre-approve the purchase cost of a dog from the Kennard Family Trust for the police K-9 program, not to exceed, I'm sorry, $16,500. Chief Sanders.
Yes, Mayor. What we're finding out is Officer Makinson has been visiting some other agencies and trainers here in Oregon. And on his own time, he's went up to Eugene 2 or 3 different times now, talking to the Eugene Police Department Sergeant Mike Casey, who is their K9 program supervisor. And he's a dog trainer. He trains like 1 dog at a time. And then also the Dan Kloss, who is the Oregon Canine Association certifier, he also trains dogs, but 1 at a time. And these guys start out with pups. But what we're finding out is about the time they get a young pup to start working with or training with, other agencies are already speaking for those and already putting money down on them. So Officer Makinson, these guys have recommended Officer Makinson to contact a canine broker that's in Southern California, and they are Alderhurst International. What they do is they actually go, you tell them sort of what you're looking for, what type of German Shepherd or canine you're looking for, and when they go to Europe to buy dogs, they look particularly for you to see if they find a dog that fits what you're looking for. But with all of that, we sort of need to have a pre-approval, because when the dogs come available, like with the local trainers, they get spoken for right away. When Alderhurst International goes to Europe looking for a dog for you, they sort of want to know that you're on board to purchase a dog and that they're not just going over and wasting their time. So what we need to do is just have a pre-approved amount, so when the time comes, we can purchase a dog or agree to accept a dog. We can't really pick out a dog, or they can't go to Europe and pick out a dog for us, and then a month later I get approval to purchase a dog, and then another month later it's too late, is what I'm saying. So Officer Makinson is here. He can answer any questions you have, but that's just what we're looking at. It's and the money that we'll be using for the purchase of this dog will be from the Kinnair Family Trust, who gave the Coquille Police Department $310,000 originally to create a canine program, or get our canine program back together.
Chief Sanders, I have a question, please. So when the trainer trains this dog, does Officer Makerson, does he participate in this training, or is there additional training that's required after we obtain the dog?
Hello, Council, it's Officer Makinson. So there's a lot of parts to this training. So initially, these dogs will undergo about a 6-month training alone. And that's with the initial handler breeder. When they do become available for purchase, which is when we basically get a chance to see the dog, have a handler network the dog, and then purchase the dog. At that point, it's still going to be another 4 to 6 weeks, which is where me as like the new handler would go to training.
You're breaking up.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So what happened is once we have the dog, it'd be about 4 to 6 weeks actual training with a handler. But before then, like I was saying before, is there's about a 6-month training process with these dogs when they're still a pup before they're even able to be purchased. And that's not at our level. That's basically through various, 20-year veterans that are handling these dogs.
Now this dog, it's not a drug dog, right? It's search and rescue?
Well, there's a few different divisions on it. Now these dogs are being integrated in a lot of different ways.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up. Sam, he's breaking up.
Sorry, I'll slow down. It's going to be a multi-purpose, which means it's going to be a general patrol dog for the city, which means it'll help with like officer protection, building searches, tracking and trailing for suspects, missing children or elderly. But those will be the main categories for the dog. Depending on down the road, you could have them certified for scent, but with the laws going Oregon right now, I don't think that's going to be in the near future.
So the laws are changing so that they don't accept drug dog testimony anymore, or is that kind of
it's kind of in the air right now. A lot of this is based on being able to deploy your dog on a vehicle. And I think the new criteria coming under the measures with basically being in possession is going to be really picked apart. So I don't think right now is a good time to be running a drug dog. I have spoken to other handlers I know with that only have drug dogs. And they immediately asked me, you know, are you guys trying to get a drug dog or a patrol dog? Because we don't even know what to do with our 4 patrol drug dogs they have. They'll probably have to sell them to other states for still crimes that have drugs.
Counselors, do you have any questions for Officer Makerson regarding the dog? I'm just
What kind
using.
of dog are you gonna pick? A German Shepherd, a little Schnoodle, or a little?
So right now with Alderhurst, who I registered with, they have German and Dutch Shepherds, but they also have the Mountain Boss as well. Right now I'm leaning towards more of a Shepherd breed. I think that's going to be a better fit for our community, especially when we want to do community events and be a little bit more around children and stuff. It seems like the Shepherds I have seen worked have been pretty good about being around people in general compared to the Mountain ones are pretty high strung if they're not around a lot that day.
So, Officer, in regards to the pre-approval, you'll need up to 16,500. Is that correct? Not 16,500 period. That's it.
It's just up to that amount. It just depends on where we're at. So example, I registered with Alderhurst, which means in December, they're going to call me and say, here we are, we're headed to Czechoslovakia and maybe here's some dogs. In the meantime, I can get a phone call from the guy I've been working with, Dan Klaus, tomorrow, and he could say, hey, one of these certifiers that I know has a dog, you want to come look at it. So depending on if it's at the Alderhurst, it's around $11,500. Privately, they're 12, 14, 15,000. And just there's so many different variables. That's why we've asked for just the up to margin. I can get that one that's over 16,000. I've seen that'd be pretty up there, but just err on the side of caution.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we had that in the wording for a motion. It's up to.
Yeah, it's just up to. No, it's just up to.
Are you gonna get a female or a male?
Again, that's kind of, I'm not sure yet. I've seen mostly just male dogs working. I've seen one female dog that's done really well. Again, I think that's going to be, it's kind of in the air at this point. Me, myself, with dogs I've worked with in the past, of course, are not law enforcement dogs. I've worked with range dogs and hunting dogs. I've had really outstanding female dogs. I feel like a female would probably be a good asset when we've had female dogs at our department before. But if it happens to be a selection where there's only male dogs, I'm not going to say no. It's just hopefully we'll just see how it goes.
I think the main thing is with this dog, it's going to be a track dog. It will track suspects as much as it does anything else. And with that, you need a full-size shepherd that will be able to handle suspects. You know, I'm sure there's female dogs and male dogs out there. We're not shopping in particular for either one. It just depends on what comes available and what the brokers have or recommend that they have.
Now, when these dogs are house dogs also, does the dog get to like sleep up on your couch or bed?
No.
No?
No, not at all. They are work dogs.
So one of the things on here that Chief Sanders put into his notes at the beginning of this, like I just moved the dog kennel we had to my house. So I actually need to build an actual kennel outside for all weather conditions, especially with these patrol dogs, because yes, you have a relationship with the dog, but it's a work relationship. Example, one of the officers I've been working a lot with was a former Goose Bay officer who retired out of the career and retired his patrol dog. That's the last dog that Goose Bay had. That dog's last year was the first year that in 6 years it had ever been inside the house around his family. And so that's just not the same relationship. That's what separates these dogs between your drug dogs or dogs you take to school is this dog's going to be sent into a scenario where if it is to grab the bad guy, he doesn't need to rely on dad, the handler, to be there. They're okay being separated. They don't have that connection with the handler.
So may I ask another question? This is just informational. So once upon a time, when we first started our drug program or our dog program, our dog was called out to assist other cities. There was a lot of overtime involved. But since the other cities all have dogs now and the sheriff's has a couple, will that cut down on some of our overtime? Will Officer Makerson get called out as backup, or how does that work now?
Yes, it'll be available for call out, but the plan is, just like you say, the sheriff's office has 2 dogs. Don't likely foresee them calling us. A couple of other agencies that don't foresee them calling us for any assistance. There's a possibility, but I don't think you'll see the overtime like you did in the past. I think this, obviously these dogs require a certain amount of training each week and each month. So you see the training overtime, which a lot of it we'll be able to do while Officer Makinson is on shift. He'll be able to do that training while he's on shift. There will be times that he at least once a month should go and train with other agencies and other dogs. But the call out load should not be the same because for one, it's not a drug dog, and just the traffic stops alone before we generate the call outs for the drug dog, in this case involved. So hopefully this dog will be just a good all around dog for the community, and I'm sure the community will love it.
Well, and if there is overtime, that is part of that Kennard Trust, is to pay for that overtime through the Kennard Trust funds too.
Right, but I just remember when it was only Kara and Odin. Remember those days? There were only 2 dogs, and so we were out all the time. I was just curious. It was just informational.
Kyle, you have your dog there. We could use him, right?
I think we should get a Labradoodle. They don't shed. They're big. They're intimidating.
I would like to say one thing. It's pretty obvious that Officer Makinson is very, very passionate about this. And,
oh, yeah.
And I think that we should bring our canine back. I mean, it's pretty obvious. He's done a lot of work on this. We have the vehicle parked out here, and I'm sure that's all the stuff on the vehicle is getting close to being done. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Dennis Hyatt, our reserve sergeant, is supposed to help me one night this week to get the console put in it and start putting keys in it. We have everything, pretty much everything now. We're waiting on parts. We got the console in last week, so it's not installed in the vehicle, but yes, we're going to be working on that soon.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think this is fabulous. I think we should.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, and then the public loved the dogs.
And this is different. This is different than narcotics dogs. This is entirely different. And this is more of a, if I was to put a title on it, a patrol dog.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Patrol dog.
Something I'd like to add on this, the reason why we kind of been going down this avenue, besides the laws that we had a feeling were coming, is for citizens of Coquille, for me, the way I see it is yes, there's, for a limited time, there's still a chance we can get some of the drugs off the street. I want to be able to do that. We all police want to do that. The problem is now it's pretty much a site for that. So the person is issued a citation, they go over to their friend's house and gets back into drugs. Instead, I'm offering this solution to where one of your homes got broken into, and they took some of your belongings, and the person was fleeing and we were arriving. Now I have an option where we're going to do our best to track down this person, and if they are apprehended by the dog, pretty sure they're not going to go back and break into someone's house as soon as they're released from the jail. Hopefully that'll be a kind of reminder of some of the services we'll offer to the community.
Right. Well, we're looking forward to it. Thank you so very much. So counselors, do I hear a motion?
I make a motion that we go ahead and approve the payment of, or the usage of up to $16,500 to prepare to purchase a dog when a dog comes available. Does that sound?
That's great.
Pretty close? Okay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Have fun picking out your dog. Okay, agenda number 12. Okay, SCBA voice amplification. Chief Aaron.
So as Councillor Wirebaugh and I discussed earlier, the lack of communications on the fire ground is extremely dangerous to our firefighters. So my recommendation is to purchase voice amplification and push to talk. The voice amplification is going to be more for the face-to-face, and the push to talk is going to be for over the radio transmissions, where the interior crew can communicate with myself whenever I'm exterior, letting me know what's going on. About 2.5 years ago, we had a fire, 2 personnel inside, and an explosion occurred, and we didn't have communications at that time with the interior crew to know what the update was. So we had to send additional crews inside to figure out what was going on and see if we need to get them out. So it's my recommendation that we make approve the purchase of 25 amplification units and 25 push to talk units.
So I have a question, Chief Farron. Is this coming out of your budget? Or are you asking for council approval to spend your money? Or are you asking us for money?
I'm asking you for money. This is something that wasn't really planned for, but it's something that we definitely need.
And you do not have the money in your budget to cover this?
I potentially have something in my equipment reserve funds that I can potentially use.
Well,
If
just
use it out of the reserve fund, what other options do we have to pay for this?
Sherilyn, would you care to?
I can't answer any questions about the city's financials right now. We haven't even had a bank reconciliation in a year. The payroll is not accurate in there. So these departments are operating off of the financials for our best guess. That's what I'm trying to clean up in this office. I cannot honestly answer any of that question.
So councilors, is this another agenda item that we need to table?
If he has it in his equipment reserve fund and it was appropriated in the budget, then that would be something for you to take into consideration. For me to confirm those numbers is not possible.
Kathy,
Yes.
if it's in his budget and we approved that budget in the last budget cycle, okay, then I don't see where there would really be an issue on that. Okay.
Right, but that's what I'm saying.
If it's in his budget, you know.
Well, we gave him, I mean, he has a budget and he asked us for money last month that did not come out of his budget. We took that incorrectly out of promotions, but we did pay for that. And I'm just a little confused as to why we have to keep picking up the tab when he has his budget.
He came and asked me to make sure the money was in here before he brought this to you guys. And I told him to go with the number that was in his equipment line because that is what was legally appropriated to his department.
So this month, well, that's what I'm trying to get clarification on. Is this coming out of his budget or is he asking council for money to come out of the general fund?
It's going to come out of my equipment reserve fund.
Yeah, that's what he's asking for, but Julie had asked me to confirm those numbers and I just can't do that right now.
Madam Mayor, may I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
Chief Farron, what is your equipment reserve fund mostly used for or reserved for minus?
It's usually reserved for purchasing a new apparatus, major new equipment, that sort of thing. Any big purchases such as this could be used for that as well.
Chief Farron, do you know how much is in your reserve fund at the moment?
I do not have my budget in front of me.
Okay.
And I honestly don't know where any of my financials are currently.
Right, and Charlene can't give us that at the moment.
But it was appropriated to him.
Right, so therefore it would come out of his budget.
Yes.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Chief Farron,
Yes.
Could this money come out of your ambulance fund?
I don't know where my ambulance
I know you
fund
want
is
to buy
at
an ambulance.
currently. Yes. I've been working on getting my financials for both the fire and the ambulance, and I don't know where those are at.
Because the ambulance, because we did this when I was on the ambulance is basically an enterprise fund. It's essentially run by a business, like a business. And we did this years and years ago. Okay, you answered my question. Sam, do we have any idea what's in our general fund?
What do you mean?
Well, how much money we have in our general fund?
Well, Dave, that isn't going to help because some of that money is probably already allocated for other bills.
So the number in the general fund is for when your bank reconciliation,
Right.
Your payroll's been run through it. So.
Right.
I don't know if that question can be answered.
Right, and we can't spend that money yet because we don't have a reconciliation. Is that correct?
I'm not saying to take it out of that either.
Yeah, right.
No. I'm not
And
saying to
Chief
take it.
Barron has approached me about his ambulance budget. He has some goals there and we're gonna work on that together. But at this point, I can't confirm any of those numbers for you except for what was appropriated.
Sounds like it might be appropriate for the table.
I think we should probably table this.
Chief Aaron, how long does it take to get these radios?
That I don't know. I think for the SCBA's, it's about 4 months. These should be a little bit quicker. They should be probably a month, I hope, because they're not having to actually manufacture the bottles and that sort of thing.
Chief Aaron, the push-to-talk radios that you're referring to, would those tie into our current dispatch system, or are those separate?
So the push-to-talk unit just hooks up to the voice amplification units and the masks that we have, and they hook into our current radios. It's not a purchase of new radios. It's just something that's going to be interoperable with our current radios.
That's what I wanted to know. I think my feeling, Mayor, is that we should table this until December.
I agree.
Yes.
Until we have some figures, some supporting figures.
I feel that the supporting figure is a real big issue.
Okay, Counselor, what's?
I make a motion that we table this until our next meeting in December.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Kyle, was that you? Who
No,
seconded?
that was Hugh.
That was you.
Thank you. Discussion?
Yeah, by our meeting, will we have the correct figures to make a better informed decision on this purchase?
Yeah, I think she'll give it to us.
That was directed at Sherilyn.
Oh, I'm
or
sorry.
whoever's in
I
charge.
will have a better understanding of what's going on there.
You will? You'll have a better
Yeah,
understanding. Oh, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that have to be done I'm not supposed to discuss right now. So
Okay, that's fine.
okay.
I'm not asking you to do that. I just, that's, I
I
didn't
just
hear
don't
you.
want to make a commitment for you for December.
That's fine.
I will know more of what's going on there.
Okay.
okay, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, agenda number 13, public participation. Sam, did you have anyone?
I don't have any public participation questions.
Is there
Okay.
even anybody online that's listening to it?
We were up to 20 at one point. It says 12 at the moment.
At least they're listening to us.
Okay, well, yeah. So, okay, is there anything else for the good of the order?
Stay
Okay.
safe out there.
Everybody call me.
Okay, hearing none, I now adjourn the city council meeting at 8:50 PM. Thank you, everybody.
There is a question. The next regular session meeting is scheduled for December 22nd, I believe. That is the week of Christmas. We do have a workshop scheduled for the 7th of December. And so the question is, when's our next meeting? Do you guys want to just do a workshop on the 7th and regular workshop or regular meeting on the week of Christmas?
Okay.
I'm free.
Were we going to swear in on December the 7th? Were we going to swear in the new counselors?
No, that's going to be in January. January 4th, I believe, is when that is.
Okay. Okay.
So are you going to know?
Well, maybe we should just have our regular council meeting on the 7th. Do we really? Oh no, we do need that workshop to discuss other programs.
Mhm.
Could we do a workshop first and then a city council meeting?
Our last workshop ran a little long, so I mean, we could.
Kathy,
Could we
Mayor?
start the workshop at 5?
Mayor?
Yes, could we start the workshop at 5?
I don't hear anybody excited
Mayor,
about
can I
that.
say something?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I would like to keep the workshop separate because it's gonna entail, the software issue, and I think that's probably going to be extremely, that's gonna be very, very long. And it's gonna take up a lot of time, and I don't wanna schedule another meeting to that because that would make for a really heavy night.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my opinion.
Madam Mayor, this is James.
Yes.
I just wanted to remind the council, you're also going to have the city manager's review process that needs to take place
Oh,
next
yes,
month.
that's right.
Yeah.
And so you need to allow some time for the circulation of comment sheets and compiling those, and then that presumably will be a fairly lengthy executive session as well.
Okay, so regular city council then on Monday, the 21st, not the 22nd. I have December 21st is a Monday, not the 22nd.
Yeah.
Will that precede a executive session then, 21st?
Yeah, on the 21st, we'll have an executive session and a general council meeting. And then on December 7th, we have the workshop.
And that'll discuss the thing that we got hung up tonight, one of them, finances. Yeah. Good. All right, got it.
Okay.
Be here.
Okay, so I now close the meeting one more time at 8:53 PM. Okay, urban renewal, Julie?
There's nothing for urban renewal, so there's no sense of even opening the meeting. I don't have any minutes or anything.
Okay, sounds good.
There's nothing on the agenda.
Okay. So good
I
night,
can open it.
everyone.
I mean, if you want to hear me talk, I can open it.
So, I had a question for James. Are you still online, James?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so James, when I talked with you and Sam recently, I'm having trouble with my motor skills, to sign my name. So on these resolutions, can Julie Neiswanger sign them, or can I print my name? I can print my name, I just can't write in cursive.
There's no magic format to a signature. Whatever you are making as your mark at this time is fine. I also think Julie Neiswiner, as council president, has probably equal authority to sign a resolution. I think you're both authorized, so I think either of those is fine.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And end.